So there are different art forms, and one art form is the art form of conversation, and that's what I love doing. And I think everybody is an artist, so each one can draw, each one can talk. Having said that, there are certain conversations where the intent is to connect with pure joy of being. So when you talk about artists, I have the pleasure of the presence of Abudu, Abudu, and his lineage has the origin from the place called Ghana. Yeah. So what is wonderful about Abudu is, why don't I ask you, what do you do?
I run a pottery studio in the back of a yoga studio in Highland Park in Los Angeles.
So pottery, how that became something which fascinated you?
Well, I was a painting major in college, and I got my hands on clay, and I fell in love because of many reasons, but the main that it harmonizes. It felt harmonious, and it felt so intimate. The material is all over my hands, you know. Whereas in paint, you want to keep it at a distance because of the certain materials it's made of, and you don't necessarily want your body to ingest those. But with clay, there is the spinning of the wheel, and there's the movement of the form, and you're manipulating this clay, and it's alive. It feels. There's a type of connection that I'm not able to explain.
No,
so
no, no.
much.
So but even what you said conveys to us the, in Hindi there is a word drishti, or your viewpoint.
Yes.
Viewpoint doesn't convey that that virgin sense of relating to it. So it's beautiful. I mean, the way you said it, and the sense of harmony, and working with your medium, and when you said that it feels live. I mean, and like coming from India, and so we refer to Earth as Mother Earth.
Yes.
So, and we heard it from sages and scientists also now that it's a living entity. The Earth is a living entity. So, sand is the most potent, fertile manifestation that we have, from where we have wonderful trees, etc., and wonderful art of pottery. And we'll share some of the images. And this gentleman is so humble. The way he's so long, he's so tall, but he's kind of he just naturally kneel down. So I'll change the position and I will continue. So continuing my conversation, Abudu, if you come slightly closer.
Yes.
Okay. So you mentioned about your love for clay when you were in the art school, and so there are different mediums. So there are some people who go to painting, or there are some people who go to sculpture where they use either wood or stone, but clay and so share your journey initially when you felt that clay is offering you the opportunity to create.
Yes, I feel that that's beautifully said. I feel that clay offers the opportunity to engage in all of those, because you're able to create, you're able to sculpt in a standing, stable position like you would, similar to wood or stone, but also you can spin it on the wheel, and it can become very wet and loose and wide or thin. And so there's just so many things to do with it, and so many ways to explore the medium. Also, after the first firing, you're able to paint it. So I used to joke that I didn't switch my major, I just paint pots now. You know, now I just spend a lot of time making the canvas, and then I paint it. You know, and the glaze is the glazing process of painting the pot. Is so beautiful because you don't know exactly how it's going to look. It's not like painting a oil painting where the blue is blue in the tube and it's blue on the canvas. in pottery, the glaze might be pink, but after the firing, it's going to be green. So when you're looking at the color on the pot, you actually don't know the result after the firing. So the fire and is an alchemist in every part of the process. You're working with all the five elements. They're
So
playing
I
a
hold
full
you
role.
just because you're so beautifully tuned to the elements when you say fire is the alchemist. I mean, I said, aha, what an expression, what an expression. But the way you have experienced the alchemist property or the role of fire, many of us have not even seen. Uh, Many of us in our day-to-day life don't even see fire
Yeah.
because we just eat, but that's already
true.
cooked. And
true.
so, staying with the form that you create, you have predetermined idea with some mold that this is what it 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 is the intent that you want to create, or there is a sense of spontaneity. So as you are working and you feel that. So talk to me a little bit about.
Yes, yes, it's both. It's both. Because sometimes you set out for, I want to create some of these, and you start making, and it's clear that's not happening, and that's okay. It just becomes something else. And it's a constant conversation, and I like to say that it's a communion, really. And not even like to say, that's what it is in my experience. And that's one reason we work I work in silence, primarily. So usually the studio is quiet. We don't usually play music except when people have headphones on their own. It's okay, because I really want the students to be fully aware of what's happening in their engagement with the clay, and be aware of the subtleties and the beauty in the process, and not be distracted necessarily by music and by other things in the studio.
Wow. So our viewers are not aware that your studio is in LA,
Yes.
and what it is called?
It's called Kinship Clay, and the website is kinshipclay.com.
Kinship is another beautiful word. So it is
Yes.
the kinship that is being shared by Abudu. So Abudu, you becoming a teacher, we'll go to that. But I want to stay with the artist Abudu. We were talking about different forms that can be created, and so do you have some typical let's say some kind of vessel that you are making, maybe cup you are making, or what are the commonly made forms?
Sure. So yes, bowls, cups, plates, and small vases are the things that are made often and enjoyed often by people purchasing also at the yoga studio.
So very briefly, this aspect where you make a bridge between your creativity and you offer it for commercial consumption. When I say commercial, it may not be the appropriate word, but basically you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So how was that? Was it challenging?
No, um, grace is providing the flow. It's if I had a projection that wasn't being met, I may say it was challenging, but I didn't necessarily. And grace brought the right people at the right time for me to be able to offer this. So it's just been a joy. Even the main person now selling my work and who wants to take me on as their primary artist for their store, I met in the meditation group. I didn't go looking for her. She just came to the meditation, which happened to be at the yoga studio. And she saw the pottery and loved my work, and she runs this home goods store in Santa Monica, and she wanted to sell my work there. So just like this,
Beautiful.
making these connections.
Yeah. So there is an organic way of evolution of things. And to bring some more light on Guru, if I pull in here, okay, so here it is. Now, when you started teaching, that was a conscious decision. You felt that it would make more people happy.
No, not necessarily. I didn't plan on teaching, actually, and I didn't necessarily plan on running a pottery studio either. These opportunities are just gifted, and I said yes. I had graduated from college. I had planned to go to India to study at Isha Foundation with Sadhguru to do the classical Hatha Yoga teacher training program for 6 months. I was $1,000 short. I had to fundraise and got a lot of money to go, but I was $1,000 short, so I stayed in LA. and I just prayed for a job outside. I just wanted to be outside. I didn't want to be inside. So
Outside, inside, meaning?
outside meaning like gardening, like irrigation work, like working and outdoors in the
Okay.
forest or the lakes, you know, because I really enjoy being outside. And someone had told me about this space that wasn't being utilized in the back of the yoga studio, and I went and I inquired about it with the owner, and he gave me we just really connected. He gave me a work trade deal for the space, so I didn't have to pay rent. Even now I don't pay rent for the space, and I also don't, I live at the yoga studio and I help run the yoga studio, and I don't pay rent for sleeping there also. There's a loft upstairs, so it's all on trade, and it's all a beautiful connection. And as I was building the pottery studio there, people started to come and ask, do you offer classes? Do you offer classes? I said, no, but what are you doing next Friday? You know. And so that's how it started.
Yeah. Okay, so now back to where we were when you were saying that you prefer to work in silence, and even music is not played at the workplace, and people, those who are learning, if they want to hear music, they are encouraged to use earphones, etc. And the place where we are, we got the opportunity of meeting and connecting.
Yes.
So I'm Ashok Vyas, he's Abudu. I said these names, or name starts with A letter, but he grew up, or rather he comes from Ghana, I come from India. But there is one silence that is common to all of us, and between him and me also. And the teaching of Bhagwan Raman Maharshi ji also emphasizes the importance of being one with silence. Now, talk to me about silence and creativity, and then we also have this reference or labeled as a spirituality, which doesn't actually summarize the eternal, infinite flow of consciousness, yet it is a way to indicate. So, 3 points: silence, creativity, spirituality, and Abudu.
Well said. So beautiful. Well, there's different aspects to this silence, yes, because I feel the deepest pointing is the silence that's beyond sound, right? It's not about being not speaking or speaking. It's about the silence that pervades beyond all of this. But in the pottery studio, that's not I'm not trying to get that kind of depth with the students who are there just to make pottery, or think they're there just to make pottery, because also I acknowledge that grace is bringing them for different reasons, and we're all supposed to be opening up and deepening each other spiritually. So that's a gift in itself, and a lot of these beings are very receptive to be able to do that. Now, I don't necessarily dive into give them that approach. I allow the opportunity for silence in the studio for them to be more present with their creative process and with themselves, and just be more attuned, because we're constantly being our attention is constantly being danced for and pulled in so many directions, especially a place like New York City, or even any urban center. So to be able to come into a space and still be outside, because partially outdoor studio, so you're still in a very natural environment. We have a tree in the middle of the pottery studio. Yet I try to keep labels and words and anything that's too distracting. The pottery studio is very simple in that way, not posters and things like this.
So lastly, what is rejuvenating for you, in addition to being one with the medium of your creation, which is clay, places like where we are, and maybe any other place where you connect with nature that you love visiting frequently?
Could you reframe that for me a little?
So I understand clay itself has a source of inspiration for you. In addition to that, there are some places which have a profound spiritual presence or resonance, like this place where we are standing right now.
Yes.
There could be other places where you are in close proximity of the nature, maybe where you have a vision of vastness. So any favorite places from that point of view for you where you rejuvenate?
Thank you. Yes, well, I failed to mention that my experience working with clay is like, I say, this is animated earth, the body's animated earth by spirit, and we're animating earth. So it's like animated earth, animating earth is kind of the phrase line of the studio. And in places that feel rejuvenating and beautiful in nature, the El Yunque rainforest in Puerto Rico really captured my heart in a way that I can explain. Also, I will comment that the land of my one of my own teachers, who's in the lineage of Advaita Vedanta, he's a devotee of Papaji and Ramana. His name is Srimuji, and he has an ashram in Portugal, and I visit once a year there. And that land, it's like it's giving you satsang all the time, and it's so beautiful. And I can't compare to other ashrams necessarily because I haven't explored many, but the land itself is imbibed with the spirit of truth and is teaching always.
Abudu, so nice, man. I'll give you a hug on behalf of all of those who heard you.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure. So we come close to you, and if you watched so far, then there is something which is common in you, in him, and in me, and it is there. It is just a sense of awareness, and when you are in the presence of people who have acted with this awareness of the absolute, it adds beauty to our perception of our life. And once before I say proper bye-bye, so I want to fold hands and convey my joy and gratefulness.
Thank you so much.
Abudu, kinshipclay.com
Yes.
is the website where you can get more details and some visuals of his work, and maybe his studio images are also there. So KINSHIP
Yes.
CLAY
Correct.
.com.
Correct.
So that's a wonderful demonstration of my memory. Bye.